I love the feelings of romance and love and of course the obvious things, food and sex and all that kind of stuff, but I'm talking about a more esoteric or
John Travolta has remained one of Hollywood's most recognizable and fascinating stars. From the moment he danced onto screens in Grease to his unforgettable performances in Pulp Fiction, he built a career that many actors could only dream of. But while fans have always admired his talent, it is often his private life that captures the deepest attention. In recent months, headlines have exploded across entertainment media with one intriguing phrase: John Travolta breaks silence about his new love. Those words instantly sparked curiosity around the world. Was the beloved actor finally opening his heart again? Had he quietly found someone special after years of grief, healing, and personal reflection? Or was this simply another Hollywood rumor designed to create noise around one of cinema's most enduring icons? To understand why this story has become so powerful, we have to look deeper into the emotional journey that brought him here. For a long time, John Travolta and Kelly Preston were seen as one of Hollywood's strongest couples. Their marriage lasted for decades in an industry where relationships often collapse under pressure. They built a family, raised children, and supported each other through career highs and devastating lows. Fans admired the loyalty between them because it felt rare, real, and deeply human. But tragedy struck when Kelly Preston passed away in 2020 after a private battle with illness. The news shocked Hollywood and broke the hearts of millions who had followed their story for years. Suddenly, the charismatic movie star known for confidence and charm became a grieving husband and father trying to navigate life after unimaginable loss. In the months that followed, John Travolta did not rush into the spotlight with dramatic interviews or emotional confessions. Instead, he became more private. He focused on his children, family memories, and moments of quiet healing. Social media posts often showed heartfelt tributes, birthday celebrations, and simple family moments rather than flashy Hollywood appearances. Many people respected the way he handled grief with dignity. There was no attempt to turn pain into publicity. No desperate search for attention. Just a man rebuilding his life one day at a time. That silence, however, also created mystery. Whenever a celebrity chooses privacy, the public often becomes even more curious. And curiosity can quickly become speculation. As the years passed, rumors naturally began to grow. Every public appearance, every photograph, every smile beside a female friend became headline material. Entertainment outlets know that certain names generate instant clicks, and John Travolta is one of them. Stories began appearing with dramatic titles suggesting romance, secret relationships, and emotional breakthroughs. Some reports linked him to fellow stars. Others claimed insiders knew he was ready to love again. Yet most of these stories lacked real evidence. No official confirmation. No direct interview. No public introduction of a partner. Still, the phrase new love kept appearing because it carried emotional power. It suggested hope after heartbreak. It hinted at a second chapter after tragedy. And audiences everywhere wanted to believe that healing was possible. What makes this story especially compelling is that it touches something universal. People do not just see a celebrity dating rumor. They see a man who suffered loss and may be finding happiness again. They see someone who had everything: fame, success, family, and then faced the kind of grief that changes a person forever. Whether rich or poor, famous or unknown, heartbreak is something nearly everyone understands. That is why even the smallest hint of joy in John Travolta's life creates such strong reactions. Fans who grew up watching him are emotionally invested. They want him to smile again. They want him to feel companionship again. They want to believe life can begin again after devastating endings. There is also another side to the story: the pressure celebrities face when trying to move forward. If a public figure remains single, media asks why. If they start dating, media asks whether they moved on too quickly. If they stay private, rumors grow louder. If they speak openly, every word becomes headline material. For someone like John Travolta, there may be no perfect path. Imagine grieving privately while millions debate your future. Imagine trying to meet someone new while every dinner, handshake, or event photo becomes gossip across the internet. That level of attention would overwhelm almost anyone. Yet celebrities are expected to handle it gracefully while cameras never stop watching. What has made John Travolta different over the years is resilience. His career itself has been a story of comebacks. He rose to stardom early, faced career slowdowns, then shocked Hollywood with major returns. He endured personal tragedies and still found ways to continue. He reinvented himself more than once, which is rare in entertainment. So when people hear whispers about a new love, many connect it to that larger narrative. They do not just see romance. They see another comeback. Not a professional comeback this time, but an emotional one. A reminder that hearts can heal even after life's darkest seasons. John Travolta and the idea of a new love is less about confirmed facts and more about the way modern celebrity culture builds narratives around silence. In today's digital world, silence is never just silence. It becomes a blank canvas where audiences, media outlets, and social platforms start painting their own interpretations. When a celebrity like Travolta chooses privacy, especially after a deeply personal loss involving Kelly Preston, that silence gets filled with speculation. People begin to search for meaning in every appearance, every gesture, and every public interaction, even when none was intended. Over time, this creates a cycle that repeats itself. A small event, like attending a public gathering, being seen with a friend, or speaking warmly in an interview, can quickly turn into a headline suggesting romance or emotional transformation. In the case of John Travolta, this cycle has been especially intense because he is not just a celebrity, he is an icon whose life has been in the public eye for decades. That long visibility makes audiences feel like they know him, even when they do not. And when people feel emotionally connected to a figure, they naturally become more invested in their personal journey. Another layer to this story is the emotional projection of fans. After the passing of Kelly Preston, many fans openly expressed hope that Travolta would eventually find happiness again. That hope is not rooted in confirmed news but in empathy. People project their own experiences of loss, healing, and moving forward onto celebrities they admire. So when a headline mentions new love, it does not just sound like gossip, it sounds like emotional recovery. It feels like closure for a chapter that ended painfully. However, the entertainment industry often amplifies such narratives for engagement. Headlines are designed to attract clicks, and emotional phrases like break silence or new love revealed are powerful tools. They create urgency and curiosity, even when the actual content inside the article may be far less dramatic. In many cases, the story inside might simply be a rephrased interview quote, a casual comment, or even a misunderstanding of context. This gap between headline and reality is where confusion grows. For John Travolta, this means his name is often attached to stories that stretch interpretation rather than confirm truth. Despite this, there is also a human truth behind the fascination. After loss, especially the kind experienced with Kelly Preston, people do eventually ask what life after grief looks like. Not in a tabloid sense, but in a deeply human sense. Can someone rebuild emotional connection? Can they find companionship again without forgetting the past? These are universal questions. That is why stories about Travolta resonate so widely. They reflect something bigger than celebrity culture. They reflect the reality of healing itself. If we step back from rumors and headlines, what remains consistent is that John Travolta has always maintained dignity in how he handles his personal life. He does not frequently engage with tabloid speculation. He does not publicly feed relationship rumors. Instead, he continues focusing on work, family, and selective public appearances. That restraint is one reason why misinformation spreads easily, because there are fewer official statements to counter assumptions. In the absence of confirmation, imagination takes over. And this is where the idea of new love becomes more symbolic than literal. For many observers, it is not just about a person, it represents renewal. It represents the possibility that someone who experienced deep loss can still feel joy again. It represents emotional survival in the public eye. Whether or not any romantic relationship actually exists in the present moment, the narrative persists because it satisfies a deeper emotional desire in audiences, the belief that life continues, even after heartbreak. At the same time, it is important to separate storytelling from fact. Until there is a clear, direct confirmation from John Travolta himself, any claims about a new love remain unverified. The entertainment world often blurs that line intentionally, but audiences benefit from recognizing where speculation ends and reality begins. This does not make the story less interesting, it actually makes it more grounded. It turns it from rumor into reflection. The fascination with Travolta's personal life also highlights how longevity in fame changes perception. When an actor has been famous for decades, every new phase of their life feels like a sequel. Fans watched him rise, watched him struggle, watched him rebuild, and now watch him navigate life after loss. So even the smallest update feels like part of a larger ongoing story. That is why a simple phrase like new love can carry so much weight. It feels like the next chapter in a film that audiences have been following for years. And still, beneath all the speculation, there remains a simple human reality. Grief does not follow a schedule, and healing is not linear. Whether or not romance is part of that journey for John Travolta, the more important truth is that life continues to evolve in private ways that the public may never fully see. Sometimes, what is not said is more accurate than what is written in headlines. John Travolta also reflects a bigger pattern in Hollywood storytelling, where audiences often merge the actor's real identity with the emotional characters they played on screen. Travolta's roles in films like Grease and Pulp Fiction shaped public perception of him as both charismatic and deeply expressive. Over time, that on-screen persona blends into real life in the eyes of fans, making any personal development feel like part of a cinematic narrative rather than private reality. So when headlines suggest new love, it doesn't just sound like news, it sounds like a continuation of a story audiences have been emotionally invested in for decades. But the truth behind celebrity life is often far quieter than the headlines suggest. After the passing of Kelly Preston, John Travolta entered a phase of life where public visibility became more selective. Instead of constant media appearances or relationship disclosures, he shifted toward privacy, family focus, and personal reflection. This transition is important because it shows that not every chapter of a celebrity's life is meant to be publicly narrated. Some periods are about internal rebuilding, not external announcement. And yet, in the age of social media, even silence becomes content for interpretation. This is where the break silence narrative becomes especially powerful and misleading. In many entertainment headlines, the phrase does not necessarily mean a major revelation. It can simply refer to a brief comment, a general reflection, or even a recycled interview moment. However, once framed as breaking silence about new love, it instantly transforms into something emotionally loaded. It suggests secrecy, romance, and a dramatic reveal, even when no such confirmation exists. For John Travolta, this kind of framing has repeatedly amplified minor moments into global discussion points. At the same time, audiences play an active role in sustaining these narratives. In online spaces, fans discuss, analyze, and reinterpret every detail, often filling gaps with assumptions. A photograph taken at an event might be read as romantic. A friendly conversation might be interpreted as emotional closeness. A simple public appearance can become a storyline. This is not necessarily intentional misinformation, it is a reflection of how emotionally invested audiences become in long-standing celebrities. And because John Travolta has remained relevant across generations, his life naturally attracts multi-layered interpretations. There is also an important psychological layer here. People are often drawn to stories of renewal after loss because they mirror their own hopes about resilience. The idea that someone can experience deep grief and still find connection again is emotionally comforting. That is why the phrase new love resonates so strongly, even without confirmation. It is less about reporting a fact and more about expressing a possibility. In the case of Travolta, that possibility becomes magnified because of his long public journey through fame, family, and personal tragedy. Yet behind all this narrative construction, the reality remains grounded in uncertainty. There is no verified public statement from John Travolta confirming any romantic relationship tied to recent headlines. Most credible information points toward ongoing privacy and focus on family life rather than public romance announcements. This distinction matters because it separates emotional storytelling from factual reporting. And in celebrity culture, those two often get blurred. Another reason this topic continues to trend is because of how media cycles operate. Once a phrase gains traction, like new love or break silence, it gets repeated, reshared, and slightly reinterpreted by different platforms. Each repetition adds weight to the idea, even if the original source was vague. Over time, the repetition itself creates the illusion of confirmation. For someone like John Travolta, whose global recognition is extremely high, even a small spark can become a widespread conversation. But stepping back from the noise reveals a more grounded perspective. What the public is really responding to is not just a rumor, but a human story. A story of someone who experienced profound loss through Kelly Preston, and who continues to navigate life in the public eye while maintaining dignity and privacy. Whether or not romance enters that picture is secondary to the larger theme of healing and continuity. In that sense, the new love narrative is less about a confirmed person and more about an emotional idea. It represents hope, curiosity, and the belief that life continues after tragedy. And for audiences who have followed John Travolta for decades, that idea feels like a natural extension of his journey rather than a sudden development. Still, until there is an official statement or verified confirmation, the most accurate way to describe the situation remains simple. It is speculation built on curiosity, amplified by media framing, and sustained by emotional engagement. And in Hollywood, that combination is often powerful enough to keep a story alive long after its factual core remains unproven. In the end, the story surrounding John Travolta and the idea of a new love says less about confirmed events and more about how people process fame, loss, and hope. There is no verified public confirmation of any new romantic relationship tied to the recent headlines, and much of what circulates online comes from speculation, interpretation, and media framing rather than official statements. What remains undeniably true is simpler and more human. After the passing of Kelly Preston, Travolta's life entered a deeply personal chapter, one shaped by grief, responsibility, and quiet rebuilding. In that space, away from headlines and rumors, a person continues to live, reflect, and move forward in his own way, beyond what the public can fully see or define. And perhaps that is the most peaceful understanding we can take from this story. Not every moment in a celebrity's life is meant to become a headline, and not every silence needs to be filled with assumptions. Some parts of life are simply about healing, time, family, and the private process of finding balance again. For audiences, the most respectful ending is not a dramatic reveal, but acceptance of uncertainty. The truth is that John Travolta continues his journey, just as anyone does after loss, step by step, away from noise, in his own time. And in that understanding, the story settles quietly. No conclusions forced, no rumors required to feel complete, just the calm reality that life moves forward, gently and differently for everyone, even those who live under the brightest lights of Hollywood.